Hi, welcome back to Jen's Creation Station for part 2 of the Origami Scrapbook mini album. We're going to move on to the easy part now, believe it or not. First I want to tell you that if you've used single-sided paper like I have, you'll need to ink your corners on all 4 corners, otherwise you'll have little white things sticking out when you put this in. It doesn't matter what size scrapbook page you've made, whether it's 5 by 5 or 6 by 6, this piece will always be 1/8 of an inch smaller on all the way around, so you'll have a 1/16 of an inch leeway on 4 sides so that it'll fit inside this front. Now what I like to do is I like to start with one corner and tuck in my opposite corner. Now you're going to have to work your corners a little bit to get these in without crunching your paper. And there we go. Now there's a couple of options for a photo on the front of this. You could do a 3 by 3 photo this way, you could do a 3 by 3 photo this way, or you could do a 2 by 2 photo, 2.5 by 2.5 this way, a 2.5 by 2.5 this way, or you could mount your photo so that it's centered like that. So there's a couple of different options for you on the front. Our next step is we need to close these gaps on our mini album page. And usually if we were making a box, the little connectors for the different parts of the box would fit in these spots, but we don't need them, so we're just going to glue them closed. So I will do that. Just press some glue in. If you'd like to use your hot glue gun here, you can use it. It would work perfect here. Okay, now we've glued all 3 sides, and then along the top, just need to make sure you don't glue your pocket closed because we'll be putting some tags in there later. Now our next step will be to put our flap on the back of our page. Now I've inked all the way around my edges, and I've got my flap all inked as well, both sides, and I want you to just score 1 inch down and then fold it under, and then you'll need to just cut in the corners so that it'll fit into the back of the page properly. Next thing we're going to do is put some glue on here so we can adhere our flap into our page. Don't even have to be neat about it because it's not going to be seen. And then just slip it in there and center it. There. And there's the flap on the back. And you have journaling and photo space on 3 surfaces here. Now we'll move on to the tags. We're on to the final phase of our pages, and that's our tags for inside the top of the page. Now I put 2 tags in each page. You can put 1, you can put 3, it's all up to you. On the flowered page, I use solid tabs on my 2 tags. And on the striped page, I used some of the flowered paper and made the tags. I did ink around them already. This is a Stampin' Up! Punch. And I also inked the back because honestly, it's really rare that I can get these to line up perfectly and some part of the inside paper doesn't show. So all I did was put my tab, this edge of the tab, about 1/4 of an inch in from the edge, and I did the other one. And then I just slide them into the page. And except for adding some small embellishments and my photos and journaling, my pages are done. Here's my completed mini album. I am probably the world's worst cover decorator, but this paper here has the colors from the coordinating paper inside. It's rather tone on tone like the pages. This is a flower that I took apart from Michael's and colored, and a couple of leaves. This is some fancy thread that yarn that I made a pink scarf out of, and it was left over, so I decided to wrap it around the cover, and then my little heart down here is just attached with a little tag and some ribbon. The binding for my mini album is paper covered masking tape. Now I use the Scotch masking tape. It says General Painting, and my husband works at a hardware store, and I asked the owner of the store, why don't you have regular masking tape? And he said, this is a regular masking tape. I said, no, this says General Painting. He says, well, it says General Painting because the blue tape comes off no matter what, and this is permanent after 24 hours. So if you see General Painting on Scotch masking tape, you'll know that that's the masking tape to buy if you want to try this technique. So back to my cover. I used the wide masking tape, and I Mod Podged my decorative paper to the masking tape, and then I let it dry, and I Mod Podged again, and then it gave me a nice matte finish. And this system of binding required tape or something to attach the three pieces. So I did my outside, and then I covered the inside with decorative paper, and that gave me my finished binding look. Okay, here's my pages that you saw me complete earlier in the video. I used my Bind It All, and then this is actually 3 pieces of chipboard. This is actually cardstock, only because I ran into an issue on the back. I made a total mistake and had to recut my covers. Thankfully I had enough paper to make another set of covers, but because the Bind It All is inside the cover, I had to allow extra chipboard for the cover. Let me just flip to the back here and you can see how I did this. This is not my original idea. I actually learned this from Kathy at Paper Phenomenon. She made a Mother's Day album last year using this system, and all she did was make this as a pocket with a 1/2 inch turned under on the top and the bottom, and then you actually bind a piece of chipboard with your binding, and then it slips in and you glue it in place, and that gives you a nice finished cover for your Bind It All binding. And there you have my completed album. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thanks for stopping by Jen's Creation Station.